What's up guys, it's Paul from Ecommerce Gold, and in this video we're going to be comparing Shift4Shop and Shopify to see which one is the better option for building an online store. And to test this out, we're going to be looking at the pricing, what you get for your money, and a quick overview of what both platforms are like to use. So let's get started. Right, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is the pricing of these two platforms, and as you can see there is a big difference between the two. Shift4Shop is now completely free. They've scrapped all of their paid plans and now they're offering a completely free plan. But there are some restrictions to this. The first one is it's only available to US merchants, which if you're anywhere else in the world, you can't use Shift4Shop, unfortunately. The second one is there is restrictions on the amount of payment gateways you get that you can use on your store, because basically they want you to use the Shift4 Payments Gateway, which is the company that owns Shift4Shop. And when it comes to other payment options, there's not many to choose from. There is PayPal Express, Amazon Pay, and BitPay as well if you want to accept crypto, as well as a few offline methods. But in terms of other options, there's not many available, because basically they just want people to be using the Shift4 payments because that's how they're going to make money from the platform. Shopify, on the other hand, is much more traditional in its pricing. There's three main plans you can choose from, which is the Shopify Basic at $29 a month, Shopify Standard at $79 a month, and Shopify Advanced at $299 a month. Now, there is a caveat with all of these plans, and that is a transaction fee. Because basically, if you use any third-party online payment gateway, such as PayPal or Amazon Pay, you're gonna have to pay an additional transaction fee with Shopify. And it depends on the plan you're on as to the transaction fee you pay. So if you're on the basic plan, you pay 2%. If you're on the standard plan, you pay 1%. And if you're on the advanced plan, you pay 0.5%. But you don't pay this transaction fee if you're using Shopify's in-house payment gateway, Shopify Payments. Now, this can make Shopify a little bit more expensive on a monthly basis, and it can also make it a bit more challenging as to which plan you should go for. Now, I'll leave a link in the description below to a calculator that I created for Shopify that allows you to figure out which one is going to be the best plan to go for, depending on which payment gateways you're using and also the volume of sales you're going to be having as well. And so I'll leave a link to that in the description, as I will leave a link in the description to my full written review, which is what you can see on screen. So that's how much Shopify and Shift4Shop cost, but what do you actually get for your money? Well, when it comes to features, Shift4Shop is fully loaded when it comes to features, because with them scrapping all of their paid plans, basically the new free one is what was their top tier plan before. So you get all the features that are available on Shift4Shop. And as you can see on screen, there's a lot of features that are available. And one of the things I really like about the way Shift4Shop is set up with their features is you can pick and choose which features you want active on your store. So if you go into the Shift4Shop dashboard and click on modules, it brings up all of basically the customizable features that are available for Shift4Shop. And what you can do is you can go through and choose which ones you want enabled and disabled. This gives you a fair bit of control over the features that are available on your Shift4Shop store. I really like that little feature that Shift4Shop have added. But what about Shopify? Well, Shopify is no slouch when it comes to features, but as standard, it definitely doesn't offer anywhere near as much as Shift4Shop does. This is because there's certain features that are locked to certain plans. And the basic plan on Shopify is quite limited in terms of features when you compare it to Shift4Shop. But there is still plenty of features to get started. As you can see, there's lots of tools available. But one of the good things with Shopify is their app store. In fact, it's their kind of like ace in the hole, if you will get my drift. Because if you actually go on the Shopify app store, you can pretty much choose apps for every single different type of feature that you can need. There's so many available. So if you go on browse apps, there's so many to choose from. In fact, there's over 3,000 on the last time of check-in. But one of the things with the App Store is not all of these apps are free. A lot of them will have a free plan or a free trial, but if you want to get access to all the features, you may have to pay for it. And this can make Shopify more expensive on a monthly basis, which is something you do have to be aware of when you start looking at the features you need for certain platforms. So those are the features that are available with both platforms. Shopify is definitely a bit behind Shift4Shop when it comes to standard features. So the next thing we're going to look at is theme selection and customization, because this is a really important part of setting up your online store, because you want it to look good for your customers. But what do they offer? Well, Shift4Shop, when it comes to the free options available for their themes, has one of the largest selections available. There's over 100 to choose from, which is pretty impressive. But where Shift4Shop lets itself down is theme customization. So if you go into the Shift4Shop dashboard, go into settings and design and themes and styles, it's not the easiest to get to your store's design settings through Shift4Shop. They've kind of buried it a little bit. But if we go into the theme editor, it brings up what you think is a live customizer, but it doesn't actually enable you to do that much, because basically all you can do is go in and change the colors and the size of the font. That's basically all you can do in terms of theme customization from the theme editor, which is pretty limiting, to be honest, and I'd like to see more features available through their live theme editor. But what else can you do? Well, there's something you can do that can scare a lot of people, which is you can open the template editor, which is where if you want to do any kind of customizations to layouts and things like that, you're probably going to have to come into this page. And if we click on edit, it brings up all of the theme code. And this is going to scare most people because they don't want to be messing with code. They just want to go in, make a couple of quick changes, drag and drop things, and get on with their day. They don't want to be messing with code because they're going to be scared of breaking their site. I get this, it's understandable, and I don't get why Shift4Shop haven't invested more in the theme editor to make it much better than what it is. So what about when it comes to Shopify? Well, when it comes to theme selection in Shopify, Shopify hasn't got such a large selection of free themes. There's currently 9 that are available to choose from the Shopify theme store, plus over 80 paid themes. But you can also buy themes outside of the Shopify ecosystem as well through marketplaces such as ThemeForest, and you can also buy them directly from developers as well, which gives a much bigger selection. In fact, there's thousands of themes out there for Shopify. But what's it like when it comes to theme customization? First off, we'll close the App Store, go into our Shopify dashboard, go into our online store, and go into the customizer. It seems a bit slow to load today. So if we click on customize, it brings up the Shopify customizer. And this is a full site live editor, which is really good. And it's why Shopify is definitely one of the top ones when it comes to theme customization, because it offers so much as standard. Because you can go in and you can customize different pages. You can also create different templates as well. So if you wanted to create a new template for your product page, you can go in and you can create a new template. And there's also lots of sections you can add to your pages. So if you click on add section, it shows all the available options. There's plenty to choose from. And when you start adding certain apps as well, they will also add sections that you can add to your store as well. There's some specific design apps out there that add more options when it comes to customization. So this gives Shopify a really big advantage in this area, because not only does it offer you the tools to do so much when it comes to theme customization, it's also really easy to do. And you can do it all in the live editor, preview it before you publish it to your online store. This is really good, and it's one of the areas, say, where Shopify is definitely one of the leaders in when it comes to theme customization, basically. So next up, we're going to talk about support, because it's one of the reasons why people go with fully hosted platforms such as Shift4Shop and Shopify, is knowing that there's people they can contact should they run into any issues with their store. Now, both Shift4Shop and Shopify offer 24/7 support to all of their users, and they offer it via phone, live chat, and also email ticket support as well. So very even on that one. But I would give the edge to Shift4Shop just because it's easier to contact the support teams. This is because when you go into your Shift4Shop dashboard, there's a live chat icon available directly in the admin dashboard. Whereas with Shopify, what you need to do is you actually need to navigate your way through the Shopify Help Center. And this just makes it a bit more difficult to actually contact Shopify support, which isn't ideal. I'd like for them to add a live chat icon directly into the dashboard. It just makes it so much easier. So I would give the edge slightly to Shift4Shop on this one. But another thing with Shopify is because the user base is so large out there, there's so many people who use the platform, there's so many Shopify partners, it can be easier to find other information about the platform out there with things like YouTube, blogs, and things like that. There's a far larger community, so there's much more information out there should you run into any issues, and there's more people you can contact and speak to actually outside of Shopify as well, which is something that is also worth considering. So next up, let's look at the hosting and performance, because you want your store to load quickly because this impacts on user experience. So what do both platforms offer? Well, in terms of their hosting environment, they're very similar. They both offer PCI compliant hosting, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, 99.9% uptime, a global content delivery network, and a free SSL certificate, which all sounds great on paper, but what does this actually mean in reality? Well, to test them out, I took 5 of their customer example sites and ran them through Uptrend Speed Tool. I know it says Pingdoms here, but I actually updated this so it ran through Uptrend Speed Tool so I could test the load time and also their page speed scores through Google as well. So how did they perform? Well, there's really not much in it between them. When you look at all the stats, they are pretty similar. No one has a clear advantage, and basically there's nothing really that causes concern with either platform when it comes to performance. The only thing I would like to see is the mobile page speed scores being higher, especially as more people are using mobile devices to shop online nowadays. But overall, nothing really between the two platforms. All right, so next up, we're going to take a quick look at what these two platforms are like to use in terms of getting started, using them, what they're like for inventory management, and also the order management as well, to give you an idea of what they're like to use. So to start with, let's talk about getting started. And getting started with Shift4Shop is pretty simple, because all you need to do is go to Shift4Shop. I'll leave a link in the description below that you can go through and sign up using their sign up process. It's pretty simple. You only need to provide basic information in order to access the actual Shift4Shop dashboard. But if you're actually going to turn this into a live store, you actually have to go through the sign up process to the Shift4 payments gateway in order to be able to basically start accepting payments on your store. And that's a little bit more of an involved process. But just getting access to the dashboard is pretty simple. And when you've actually got through to the dashboard, it's not too bad. It's pretty simply laid out. You've got a sidebar navigation menu that's pretty easy to navigate. There's just some things like the design options, etc., that are buried in other options, whereas on other platforms they'd have their own heading within the navigation menu. But overall, nothing really to complain about. The homepage dashboard is pretty good actually. It gives you a good snapshot of your traffic, your cart abandonment, the amount of orders you've had. It's a nice snapshot when you log onto your store to see where your store is currently at in terms of sales, etc. Now, one thing I did forget to mention when you do sign up for Shift4Shop is there's a short setup guide that you go through on your first sign-in to help you basically get familiar with the platform, start adding your products, inventory, start setting up your shipping, things like that. Basic things to help you get your store set up. I can't show you on this because I've already been through that, because I've obviously been testing the platform out. Now let's go through to Shopify. Actually, let's go onto this one because this shows you what it's like when you first sign up to Shopify. Now, signing up to Shopify is very simple. Once again, I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go and sign up for them. They offer a 14-day free trial. And the sign up process is really simple. All you need is an email address and your password. Then you'll be asked a few questions and you'll be taken through to the Shopify dashboard. That will look something like this. This does seem to change every so often. The setup guide seems to change, and honestly, it's not the best setup guide out there because it doesn't cover all the things you really need to do. Because as you can see on this one, it's find products to sell. What if you've already got products to sell? You don't need to do this. You just need to start listing products. Customize your theme, yes, that's a good one. Add domain, set up payments, but there's no kind of prompt for shipping and things like that. It's just not the best setup guide out there, which is quite surprising considering Shopify is one of the biggest names in the industry. And outside of the setup guide, the Shopify dashboard is actually a really nice place to be because it's very simple to use. It's very well laid out and it's not cluttered, which I do like. There's lots of basically clean space, so you're not being bombarded with information, almost being overloaded with info. The sidebar navigation is very easy to navigate. All the headings are clearly labeled, and I would actually say it's easier to navigate around Shopify than it is through Shift4Shop, just because the sections are more clearly defined between where you can go through for your Shopify store. It's only slightly different, but it does make a difference in going from one section to another. So what's it like when it comes to managing your inventory? Because that's an important part of your store. So let's go into Shift4Shop and let's go into the product section. So we go into the product list and we click on add a new product. Now initially this looks like it's a really simple page. It looks like it's a single page layout with all the sections you need. So there's like the title, the SKU code, the description. I go admit this description box does look a bit dated. It seems like it's been taken from, I don't know, Word 2007 or something. Yes, that does show how old I am, but it's not exactly the most modern and sleekest looking thing. It does look a bit dated, but everything else looks pretty simple. You've got your categories, your images, pricing information, inventory, etc. Looks like it's a nice, simple page. But there is an issue with this. So if we come out of the add new product page and go in and edit a product, you'll see that there's lots of tabs that appear on the edit page. So you've got all your information, there's images, options. All these things aren't available when you go and add a new product initially. And I don't like this because I want to just go in and set a product up. I don't want to go in, set it up, save it, then have to go back in and edit the product to set everything else up. I don't like this workflow. There's too many basically stages to properly set a product up. I just don't like this. So yeah, not good on that one, Shift4Shop. And on the categories, it's a similar story. So this is for when you're organizing your products. So you're creating a hierarchy for your products. Now you can create parent and child categories on Shift4Shop, which is really good. And adding one seems really simple because you just click on add new and this pop-up appears. But if you actually want to enter any more information for the category, what you need to do is you need to click on and edit it, and then it brings up all of these options. Why can't you just do that to start with? Why do I have to do one thing, save it, then go in and do something else? I just don't like this workflow of having to do multiple steps to set things up. It's not efficient. So what about when it comes to editing your inventory? You've got everything set up, you want to be able to edit it on the go. And what you can do is you can select your products and it looks like there's a price editor, which seems really good. You can quickly adjust your pricing, but it's based on a formula. So you can basically add or multiply it by a certain basically denomination, which I know that's not the most efficient way to update your prices because there may be just one product that you want to add, I don't know, $5 to, but you have to go through this weird way of doing it. Don't like this formula thing. It just doesn't work that well for me. So the next thing is the batch update. Now this seems more promising, but it's not the most simple to use because even though I selected all the products in the previous page, it hasn't brought them over to the batch editor. I actually have to go through and find the products manually. So select a category, we'll select men's, and then it brings up all the products. Then you can quickly and easily update the price, the stock level, the name, the ID. Why isn't this just available from the get-go? This should be the default editor and it should just bring any products you select from your inventory overview into this editor. Once again, it's just not optimal workflow in Shift4Shop when it comes to managing your inventory. Everything has unnecessary clicks, which just makes it a bit more frustrating to use. So next up, let's look at what this is like in Shopify. So I'll close my demo store on this one and keep this tab open. Now, when it comes to adding a new product, it's much simpler to do in Shopify because it is a single page layout. And this is the same page whether you're adding a new product or you're going in and editing a product. It's exactly the same. And this makes it much easier to set up a product because you just go in, add everything you need to add, and you're done. You don't having to go in, save the product, and go in and edit it because that's just inefficient. Now, when it comes to organizing your inventory in Shopify, they use their own collection system. And this can be a little bit confusing when you're just getting started because there's a couple of ways you can set these up. There's manual collections, which work in the similar way to a normal category where you manually add the products to it. And then you've got automated that's based on conditions that you set, basically rules. And then any products that match these rules will then be added to this collection. Now, these can work really well. You just have to know how to set them up because there's a few different ways you can do it. And if you don't do it quite right, you can make a few mistakes and not have the products you wanted added to certain collections. And one thing that isn't great with Shopify collections is there's no sub collection. So you can't create a parent collection and a sub collection. The system just doesn't allow that, which isn't great for basically organizing your products into a good hierarchy. There's some workarounds you can do, which I'll leave a link to a video showing some of the workarounds, but it's not a proper, basically system-based sub-collection, basically, and it doesn't work all that well. Something I would like to see added to Shopify. But what about when it comes to managing your inventory? Well, there's a couple of things you can actually do. There's an inventory page here, which allows you to come in and quickly and easily adjust the stock quantity. But I think there's actually a better one, and that is if you go into your products, select all of your products and click on edit, and it brings up a full editor, which is really, really good because you can list all your products and it's almost like a spreadsheet. And if you click on columns in the top right hand corner, you can actually filter out which columns are available. So if you wanted to add inventory quantity, you can do that, and if you close it, and it's got inventory quantity on that side, which means you can edit basically all of your products from a single screen. It's quick, it's easy to do. Yes, things like descriptions and whatever aren't editable, but you can just go into your products and do that. But things like product title, you can go in and edit, you can change the category, pricing, and all these different filters that are available make it really easy to manage your Shopify inventory. I really like this. It's a really easy to use tool, and it just makes bulk inventory management so much easier. Right, so the final thing we're going to look at is order management, because hopefully this is where you're going to spend most of your time in your store. So if we go into Shift4Shop and manage orders, their order management isn't actually too bad, because if you select the product, you've got this drop down menu and things you can do with your orders, and you can do this in bulk or you can do this via individual orders as well. So you can change the order status, you can print an invoice, a packing slip, or choose to delete that selected order. And you can also go and do edits to your orders as well. You can go in and edit them individually, which if there's any changes that need to be made, you can do this. And there's also options to print shipping labels, etc. When it comes to order management, Shift4Shop is actually really good. But what about Shopify? Well, Shopify isn't bad, but it's not the best when it comes to order management. They have been adding some new features recently that's made it better. So now you're able to actually print packing slips directly from your order dashboard. But if you want to print like order information, order invoices, you actually need to install an app for that. I'll leave a link to a video where I'll show how you can do that. But not having this feature as standard seems a bit strange for Shopify, why they're actually almost basically outsourcing this to third-party developers to add this functionality. But there are other things you can do. So you can change the order status, you can quickly bulk update the inventory to mark as fulfilled. You can also export the order information as well if you're using third-party order management software. So you can export it as a CSV file and then upload it into whatever software you're using. So the order management, it's not the best on Shopify, but with a couple of apps, it can be actually really, really good and really efficient to use the Shopify order management system. Right, so Shift4Shop versus Shopify, which one is the better e-commerce platform? For me, it is a clear win for Shopify. Now, even though Shift4Shop has some good things going for it, the fact that it's completely free to use and the standard features are actually really good and you can customize which ones are available on your online store, there's too many negatives with the platform when compared to Shopify that would make me choose it over Shopify. And these are the fact that Shopify is a global e-commerce platform. Anyone from around the world can basically sign up and use Shopify, whereas Shift4Shop is limited to US users only, the way they've currently got it set up, which does make it quite limiting. Number two, when it comes to general ease of use and workflow, Shopify is miles ahead. Shopify just feels so much easier to use and it's a lot more intuitive in a lot of ways. And when it comes to workflow, it's easier because you can do things on one page, save it, and you're good to go. You can move on to the next thing. Shift4Shop, you have to make lots of unnecessary clicks, especially in the inventory management, to get things set up. And not only is this frustrating, but it costs you time. And when it comes to business, time is money. Number three is theme customization. These two aren't even in the same league when it comes to this. Shift4Shop is very basic. There's not really much you can do compared to Shopify that has a full site theme customizer. You can customize basically every page on your site, create custom templates, and there's lots of different sections you can add and customize. So even if you're brand new to e-commerce, you can still build a pretty good looking website with no previous experience of building one. And number four is Shift4Shop just feels a bit dated. Shopify is very modern, it's very sleek, and they're constantly updating their dashboard to keep it looking modern, sleek, whereas Shift4Shop feels like it hasn't really come out of the 2010s in a lot of way, because a lot of things in there, say, just feel very dated, especially when you look at the description boxes that look like they've been pulled from Word 2007, as I said earlier in the video. It's just starting to feel dated in a few ways, which is a shame, and it's something I'd like to have seen updated when Shift4Shop took over 3D Cart a couple of years ago. So as I say, for me, it's a clear win for Shopify on this one, especially if you're just getting started with the world of e-commerce. Shopify is so much easier to use and get started with than Shift4Shop. So let me know what you think. Which one would you prefer to use for your online store? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching. If this video has been helpful, a like would be absolutely awesome because it helps the channel out with the almighty YouTube algorithm. So once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.